We now cross the threshold from the fiery, sprawling horizons of Sagittarius into the cold, realistic, and rock-solid terrain of Capricorn. The first decan of Capricorn, the 1st to 10th degrees, is ruled by Saturn itself. This is the realm of the architect, the master builder, and the sovereign strategist. Having discovered a vision of truth in Sagittarius, your planets in this range are tasked with a heavy, grounding reality check. How do you build a structure that survives winter? Here, raw ambition is forged into crystalline discipline, and the soul learns that true freedom is earned through responsibility, structural integrity, and building a legendary mountain fortress out of sheer, relentless effort. 1 degree Capricorn, placed from 0.0 to 0.09, the Capricorn solstice point. The Sabian symbol, an Indian chief claims power from the assembled tribe. Symbol meaning, this is a degree of raw, concentrated authority, leadership, and assuming dynamic executive responsibility. It highlights where a planet steps into absolute sovereignty, commanding respect not through force, but through an undeniable presence and a willingness to carry the collective weight of the tribe. What the planets mean here. Sun, a natural-born CEO, executive leader, or tribal patriarch/matriarch who commands instant authority and thrives when taking total responsibility for a massive organization. Moon, finds deep emotional stability in leadership and control, remains absolutely calm, stoic, and bulletproof under extreme organizational crisis or pressure. Mercury, mind is intensely pragmatic, authoritative, and strategic, thinks in terms of legal precedents, corporate structures, and giving clear, commanding directives. Venus, attracted to highly powerful, authoritative, or high-profile executives, views romance as a serious, long-term power alliance built on mutual respect and status. Mars, drive is relentlessly ambitious and disciplined, steps forward to claim the leadership seat in any chaotic situation, executing plans with military-like precision. Jupiter, exceptional luck with corporate mergers, securing high-ranking executive titles early in life, or funding major political and governmental leadership initiatives. Saturn, carrying the intense, heavy pressure of early leadership demands or parental expectations, overcoming a fear of public failure to become a rock-solid pillar of authority. 2 degrees Capricorn. The Sabian symbol, 3 rose windows in a Gothic church, 1 damaged by war. Symbol meaning, this degree represents structural resilience, preserving sacred ideals under fire, and the scars left by systemic conflict. It shows where your planets must protect spiritual or cultural values when the surrounding system faces an aggressive crisis, finding beauty even in what has been fractured. What the planets mean here. Sun, a dedicated historical restoration expert, trauma therapist, or crisis management consultant who specializes in rebuilding shattered community institutions. Moon, carries deeply buried emotional wounds related to institutional or ancestral crises, possesses an incredible, resilient grace that shines brightest when things break down. Mercury, mind excels at structural damage assessment, stained glass or classical architectural design, and rewriting fractured systemic laws or corporate policies. Venus, attracted to beautifully complex, resilient, or emotionally scarred individuals, seeks relationships that can withstand intense external stress and societal storms. Mars, channels physical energy into defending historical monuments, executing heavy structural repairs, or fighting tirelessly to reform war-torn community infrastructure. Jupiter, great fortune with funding cultural heritage preservation foundations, structural engineering firms, or insurance restoration empires. Saturn, facing early, heavy disruptions to your sense of structural or spiritual safety, discovering that a cracked foundation can be beautifully reinforced into an unshakable fortress. 3 degrees Capricorn. The Sabian symbol, a human soul receptive to growth and manifesting new experiences. Symbol meaning, this degree represents the slow, deliberate crystallization of consciousness and the inner willingness to evolve. It highlights where a planet shakes off rigid, cold stasis to actively choose personal growth, showing that real evolution requires patience, fertile discipline, and time. What the planets mean here. Sun, a profound life coach, evolutionary psychologist, or spiritual mentor who teaches others how to deliberately mold their character and systematically grow through hardship. Moon, highly reflective, adaptive, and emotionally mature, instinctively knows how to compost painful experiences into rich, fertile ground for inner growth. Mercury, mind is deeply introspective and focused on self-mastery, exceptional at behavioral modification planning, cognitive restructuring, and writing self-development literature. Venus seeks deep, transformative relationships that actively push both partners to grow up, values emotional maturity, authenticity, and shared personal development goals. Mars, drive is entirely self-directed toward personal excellence, channels energy into breaking old bad habits and systematically building a better version of oneself. Jupiter, spectacular luck with funding alternative human potential institutes, publishing revolutionary self-help books, or investing in neuroplasticity research. Saturn, overcoming severe early emotional blockages or a rigid, frozen mind, mastering the patient art of psychological thawing to become an incredibly wise guide for others. 4 degrees Capricorn. The Sabian symbol, a party entering a large canoe on a beautiful river. Symbol meaning: this symbol represents collective cooperation, group alignment, and embarking on a structured journey together. It shows where a planet thrives by coordinating. What the planets mean here. Sun, a master team captain, group expeditions planner, or corporate project manager who excels at aligning diverse people toward a single, smooth operational destination. Moon, finds emotional safety in tight-knit, collaborative groups or community networks, loves hosting group retreats and handles communal emotional dynamics beautifully. Mercury, mind is exceptionally brilliant at logistics routing, group communication networks, maritime transport planning, and coordinating complex event schedules. Venus, loves group double dates, community social gatherings, and networking, seeks a partner who seamlessly fits into their professional and social circles. Mars, channels physical energy into team sports, rowing, managing collaborative supply chains, or driving a group project forward with massive collective momentum. Jupiter, exceptional luck with investing in maritime tourism, logistics and shipping corporations, group travel booking platforms, or massive community infrastructure grants. Saturn, facing early anxieties regarding peer rejection or group collaboration, learning to master the structural rules of teamwork to become an indispensable group leader. 5 degrees Capricorn. The Sabian symbol, Indians rowing a canoe and dancing war dances. Symbol meaning: this degree represents gathering tribal momentum, focusing raw instinctual energy, and psychological preparation before a major corporate or real-world challenge. It shows where your planets use rhythm, ritual, and intense focused intent to psych themselves up for victory. What the planets mean here. Sun, a highly charismatic motivational speaker, dynamic sports coach, or high-stakes corporate closer who knows exactly how to whip a team into a passionate, competitive frenzy. Moon, emotionally charged by powerful rhythms, intense workouts, or tribal rituals, needs a physical, high-energy outlet to release deep-seated stress and tension. Mercury, mind is sharp, competitive, and tactical, excellent at designing aggressive marketing campaigns, motivational chants, or psyching out opponents in legal battles. Venus, attracted to fiercely passionate, athletic, or intensely competitive partners, values high energy, dynamic relationships that feel like an exciting conquest. Mars, drive is incredibly intense and ritualistic, channels energy into competitive martial arts, high-intensity CrossFit, or aggressively executing corporate takeovers. Jupiter, great fortune with sports franchise ownership, funding motivational training academies, high-stakes litigation, or investing in rhythmic entertainment industries. Saturn, overcoming early performance anxiety or fear of aggression, mastering the art of channeling raw, chaotic inner anger into a highly disciplined, victorious strategy. 6 degrees Capricorn. The Sabian symbol, a 10-log archway building a highway across dark woods. Symbol meaning: this is a magnificent degree of foundational infrastructure, pioneer engineering, and creating order out of chaos. It highlights a planet that can look at a dark, impassable problem and build a solid, reliable, and heavily engineered bridge to cross it safely. What the planets mean here. Sun, a legendary civil engineer, heavy infrastructure pioneer, or systemic problem solver who specializes in building roads, tunnels, and frameworks where others see dead ends. Moon, deeply stable, practical, and protective, acts as an emotional anchor for their family or company, consistently building a safe path through dark times. Mercury, mind is beautifully structured for structural engineering blueprints, logistics modeling, supply chain routing through hostile terrain, and long-term macro planning. Venus, values rock-solid, traditional reliability and love, looks for a deeply grounded partner who helps them build a comfortable, highly secure material life. Mars, channels physical drive into heavy construction, lumber industries, highway engineering, or working tirelessly to build a secure career foundation. Jupiter, spectacular fortune with massive civil infrastructure contracts, logging and raw materials industries, commercial real estate development, or transportation networks. Saturn, bearing the heavy structural duty of building through profound adversity, overcoming early feelings of being lost in the dark by building your own literal or metaphorical highway. 7 degrees Capricorn. The Sabian symbol, a veiled prophet speaks, clothed in the power of a god. Symbol meaning, this degree represents absolute spiritual authority, speaking unshakable truth, and acting as a vessel for timeless systemic laws. It highlights where your planets command absolute respect through a quiet, hidden mystery, delivering messages that shape institutional futures. What the planets mean here. Sun, a highly revered, enigmatic corporate advisor, spiritual lawgiver, or elite consultant whose behind-the-scenes words carry the ultimate weight of authority. Moon, possesses a deeply stoic, intensely private emotional nature, handles secrets with absolute ironclad confidentiality and speaks with profound, intuitive authority. Mercury, mind is geared toward deep oracle work, systemic coding, writing definitive constitutional laws, speechwriting for world leaders, or high-level occult research. Venus seeks a deeply private, intensely serious, and enigmatic love, drawn to highly private individuals who hold massive societal or spiritual power. Mars, driven to execute hidden agendas, protect executive secrets, manage deep underground operations, or fight covertly to uphold systemic integrity. Jupiter, exceptional luck with private wealth management firms, behind-the-scenes political advisory roles, global intelligence networks, or elite theological publishing. Saturn, overcoming early experiences with intense censorship, silencing, or religious manipulation, standing as a bulletproof, authentic voice of absolute truth. 8 degrees Capricorn. The Sabian symbol, birds in a house singing happily. Symbol meaning, this degree what the planets mean here. Sun, a delightful family patriarch/matriarch, lifestyle coordinator, or domestic designer who excels at bringing joyful, structured music and laughter into the home. Moon, finds deep emotional security inside a highly organized, safe, and clean domestic sanctuary, recharges beautifully by keeping a warm, musically rich household. Mercury, mind is focused on acoustic architecture, interior home optimization, writing light-hearted family stories, or managing domestic business logistics. Venus, absolute placement for a stable, elegant, and harmonious home life, drawn to reliable, sweet-natured partners who love domestic nesting and family rituals. Mars, channels physical energy into interior home improvement, building soundproof music rooms, aviary care, or working hard to provide a beautiful sanctuary for loved ones. Jupiter, great fortune with high-end residential real estate, home automation technology, manufacturing musical instruments, or breeding songbirds and exotic pets. Saturn, overcoming a cold, overly restrictive, or silent childhood home, mastering the beautiful art of transforming a rigid house into a singing, joyful home sanctuary. 9 degrees Capricorn. The Sabian symbol, an angel carrying a harp. Symbol meaning, this symbol represents divine harmony, celestial attunement, and the spiritualization of material form. It highlights where a planet acts as a gentle, soothing balm, bringing exquisite artistic grace and cosmic alignment to correct harsh, rigid real-world conditions. What the planets mean here. Sun, a deeply graceful harpist, sound therapist, or spiritual healer who uses harmonic frequencies and absolute artistic devotion to soothe the cold anxieties of the world. Mercury, mind is exquisitely tuned to music theory, mathematical harmony, angelic or esoteric communication channels, and writing deeply soothing, elegant prose. Venus seeks a romantic connection that feels divinely ordained and visually flawless, drawn to classical musicians, angels of mercy, or deeply gentle, refined souls. Mars channels physical drive into fine harp or string instrument mastery, delicate sonic therapy, or working tirelessly as an absolute angel of mercy in hospice environments. Jupiter, spectacular luck with funding classical music academies, sound healing app development, orchestral touring companies, or non-profit celestial art installations. Saturn, overcoming deep early experiences with harsh, chaotic, or discordant environments, discovering that your life mission is to systematically engineer absolute harmony. 10 degrees Capricorn. The Sabian symbol, an albatross feeding from the hand of a sailor. Symbol meaning: this final critical degree of the decan represents overcoming deep-seated superstition, building trust with the wild, and bridging the gap between nature and human culture. It highlights a planet that can take an omen of bad luck or a wild, untamed element and masterfully tame it through patient, gentle consistency.